Quicken recording.
Wigan recording.
Yeah.
Woo.
Woo! What, season 3 of Bojack is what we're in.
Yeah, we sound very low energy.
Yes.
What I mean, rightfully so. First of all, hey everybody, welcome to the Real Deal podcast.
You didn't even do the Real Deal podcast.
It's been
You
a
didn't
time.
even do that.
It's been a while. I've
said it really
forgotten.
quickly.
I'm sorry. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Cooper.
I'm Christian.
He's the other one.
I'm the sad one.
If it's your first time, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome back, because it has been a minute. It's been, last time I checked, 3 weeks.
Yeah, we took a break for summer break.
College sake, summer break. Hey, it rhymed.
Oh my God.
You know, we should be hip hop
You're
artists.
so cool. You literally rhymed that. I heard it.
I'm so cool.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no. Christian, how's your week been? You guys do anything fun, relaxing?
I mean, I've just been trying to relax and hang out.
I think
That's
I think the same. I didn't really do anything super proactive. I just went back home, got to rest and get a good sleep schedule. And,
You already your Instagram, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I did a bit of like a purge for some reason. Social media was like actually making me sick. I just like hate checking my phone like constantly every day just for no reason, just to like see stuff. So I still have it, like, you know, have it, but it's like only on my laptop. So
Okay, so like you're really only using it to like
I'm using
post.
it to post, because if I post something, I'm not going to check anyone else's feed. Like,
Yeah.
I might check it every week, like once a week, once every 2 weeks, but I think it's been very helpful for me to just not be on any platform, even YouTube. I don't have YouTube anymore. I don't have anything. So I've been kind of off the grid a bit, but it's been healthy.
I've been reading books and using an abacus, he said.
I don't know what an abacus is, but I have been reading books. Yeah.
It's a little calendar. Hey, Brady.
Oh, I do have a calendar.
Turn off the dry washer.
Even with doing that though, I mean, it's
Thank you.
good. I mean, that's cool. Yeah, no, but that's really cool, man. I mean, even though I'm reading, you're smarter than me, because you know words like abacus.
I know words like abacus. I read too.
You know, I know you read. I'm saying, like, I just think that, like, it's just cool, and we can kind of like do stuff. I don't know. We're really just filling in the time before we go into the episode. I think
You're
that's
trying to make out with me or something is what's happening.
Yeah.
Keep saying you're flirting with me.
Yeah, I think we just need to hop into it.
Yeah.
We're really just being deadbeats. So yeah, so we're in season 3 of BoJack Horseman, which is, I think, pretty strong. I think there's a lot of strong episodes in this season, and there's also a lot of.
Yeah, season 3 is definitely a super strong, structural, like very structured season.
Yeah, because there's some episodes that really matter and take place. And I would just say, like, the overall summary of the season is it's after a couple months after BoJack's movie dropped, Secretariat. You know, he wasn't involved in it. And when he came back, they said the movie finished using the AI stuff. And he's on award season, so he's got Anna Spanakopita helping him on this campaign. And it's really just trying to make him...
I don't like her. I don't like how they interact with each other. It's spooky.
It is spooky. But, like, he's using this... the Oscar campaign as this, like, maybe goal or this outreach to see if he can finally be happy, which even in the first episode it shows that he won't be, but it's what he's shooting for, and focusing all of his like time on. But that's like the majority of like the drive for this season, but there's a lot of stuff going on in between that's not necessarily filler, but more just like adventures until he gets to the end of this. And a lot of the other side characters have stuff going on too, but that's what we're going to jump into per episode. So we're going to start with the first one, and Christian, if you want to take it away, you can read the synopsis.
Yeah, start spreading the news. Anna
Spanakopita
sends Bojack to New Year's to
New York.
I'm so sorry.
It's
Maybe
okay.
I shouldn't read this. Maybe
No,
I can't
no,
read.
keep reading. I'll just help you out.
Yeah, sends him to New York to do interviews, and Todd tags along. Princess Carolyn tells Mr. Peanut Butter to get back to work.
Yeah. So definitely there's more like better sides to the episode, but it's like you feel like it's one person. But yeah, so we kind of just start on the episode of Bojack doing interviews, like I said, for the Oscar campaign and people asking about the movie dropping. And, it's kind of the same thing over and over. It's just people asking him the same questions and what's it like to do.
And it's like verbatim the exact same answers he gives.
Oh yeah, and
which
he
is
starts
awful.
getting tired and doesn't really care. But then Honest Manacopita is like, you gotta straighten up. This is what you want. And he's like, is this what I want? And he's like, yes. And then throughout the episode, last time we saw Princess Carolyn, or PC, like we like to call her,
PC.
she left the old agency and started a new one. And she's got this really cool assistant who, I forget his name.
You forgot his name?
No, the name of the actor. I think it's like Will Arnett or something, who's like the voice of Lego Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He's the voice of her new assistant, who's really cool. It's really like just like fun, just, like jiving, like
he's important.
very business guy who kind of just runs stuff very seriously.
He ends up becoming pretty important later down the line, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, and he's also got Diane working for her as like a social media like advisor. Like she's I don't know if this is a real thing, but it's like people who, I mean, it definitely is, but it's like
who run like celebrities' accounts.
Yeah, while celebrities are doing other stuff, they're just doing very different stuff. But yeah, so she's talking to Bojack about having to do meetings and stuff in New York, like going to do a interview with, I think it's Manatee Fair, is asking about the new Secretariat movie, and Bojack's like, I don't know if I want to do it, but both parties agree that like he should do it, and so he gets ready to go, and he runs into Todd, who
Todd
made his way hiding in the suitcase. Apparently, I guess just getting blasted and hiding, like he's like on his way to New York, and they found him, and they were like, "What are you doing?" He's just like, "Oh, I just go everywhere." So Todd is doing his goofy self. And this one I think is really funny, where it's like there's not much going on for him, but it's just enough to get a laugh. Where they send him out on his way to go get ice in the hotel, and he gets like lost because the pattern is just all the same. So it's really funny. And then we cut to I forget the name of the penguin guy. Do you know his name, or are you just going to say penguin guy?
Penguin Pete.
I
have no idea what his name is.
The executive guy who was like in charge of the book stuff and was in TV stuff. He talks with the game show host of Hollywood Stars. Do you know them? What are they hiding? We'll find out. And Mr. Peanut.
That was not the name of the show.
It's pretty close. All I know is
Hollywood Stars. Do they know things? And what do they know? Let's find out.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's something like that.
Yeah, him and Mr. Peanut Butter, and the guy just goes, "Yeah, I don't want to be a part of this no more. I've told what I want to say." And it's kind of just like this episode, I mean, I get it. It's the beginning of a season, so you have to pick things off where they last started or cut things away. They even mention Bojack's ex-girlfriend, where it's like Wanda, where they're like, what happened to her? Oh, she just got a new job. They have to basically like write around stuff. But no, it was so cool. It just kind of gets stuff going. And so, Mr. Peanut Butter is now out of a job. We'll see later, like, where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But then Bojack runs into, I think her name is Jill Filipowicz. They always got weird last names, which is cool, though.
They do. She's a spider theater writer.
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton's in the background, right? Right there?
I believe so.
It's like Hamel Horse or something dumb.
But yeah, so he meets up with her, and he's just catching up, and she's talking about her old, their old friend, Cuddly Whiskers, who was the creator of the Bojack Horseman show, which was a show that they did between him and Bojack,
and it was like Dexter, right? It was like super serious.
It was like, yeah, because what the thing happened like in a later episode is that they wanted to change the show because they were afraid that it was going to be too generic and everyone was going to like it. It was going to be just another TV show, so they wrote it super just extraneously and
confusing and bad, and they were like, it's so good.
Yeah, it's so good, and then people realized it's so bad, and it got canceled after the pilot. So, but yeah, so she used to work for him, and she's asking Bojack, has he checked up on him? And obviously Bojack's the guy who's kind of doesn't talk to anybody, and he hasn't seen anybody in a long time. But when he brings up the name, he's like, oh shoot, that person. But he definitely has
that guy ever.
Yeah, but he definitely has a bit of resentment to just I guess that period, because it's a part of him, his ugly self back then, that he just wants to forget about. But he says, I'll go check on and with him. And then, like we said,
the lollipop confusion, or no, it's the popsicle confusion.
Yeah.
Where there's one guy who makes the punchlines and one guy who makes the setups, and they use them in Secretariat. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Yeah, they use a line from there in Secretariat, and they are now being sued by the popsicle company because they used one of their setups or one of their payoffs.
Yeah. And then later on,
more abuse of the accountant of Mr. Peanut Butter.
Yeah, basically, we've seen it before where Mr. Peanut Butter and Todd do these really bad business deals, which somehow turn out good, but for the accountant, it's terrible. He doesn't spend time with his kid. So this episode is, more Bojack centered. So a lot of stuff we say that's just kind of stuff that happens is just setting up for like later on. But they have to show like the scenes that happen, like him picking up the accountant and going back to his terrible job. And then we get back to the more serious stuff, which is Bojack meeting with the manatee, who's this really sleazy. Like you can already tell how she's asking him questions that make him uncomfortable.
She does whatever she can to get the scoop.
And Bojack feels uncomfortable, so he starts drinking.
Please leave me alone, he said.
And then they go back to his apartment, and she's about to sleep with him, and then he goes, I don't know if I want that, I'm just not right in the right headspace. But then they do it, but then he doesn't finish. That sounds weird, but he
doesn't like actually go through with it fully.
Because she says something about like the boat, because she's a sea person. And I guess that's like
she's like, oh yeah, you're on your boat, and
he goes,
like, on a boat.
He goes, why you say that?
Why'd you say that?
And he just
it's so quick.
Yeah, and then he just kind of he hasn't really dealt with what happened in New Mexico very well, and that's still kind of hurting him. And he tells her, but secretly
he tells her kind of like roundabout. He was like, there was a girl.
There was a girl. He doesn't tell her like everything that could be more context. It's just there was a girl, and
very vague.
Vaguely, that it sounds very bad on his half.
And she was recording it actually
secretly,
by accident.
Well, she was always gonna record it. My thing was, what if he didn't say that? What was she gonna have? Just them hooking up?
And she's like, I can't make a story out of this.
Yeah, it's like this just shows you're unprofessional. So I guess maybe it's just like stuff writing wise, but it's okay. But
I think she didn't mean to leave it on record.
Maybe,
if I remember right. She put it away, and then she was like, let's do this.
Maybe not. I don't know. But whatever it was, she got the scoop, and he calls Diane the next morning, and is panicky, and is like, this is about to ruin everything that I've worked for.
And Anna's like, shh,
I got this.
I got this, babe. And she, like, completely gets rid of it.
Yeah. And then, we cut back to Todd being like, Bojack, I've been lost.
He got lost in the hotel room, and he's like, did you get the ice? He's like, oh, no.
I'm lost again. And just... Yeah, but
that's Jesse Pinkman from the documentary about Walter White.
It is. And then we got back to Mr. Peanut Butter doing another thing with the accountant, where he's like, "What would Todd do if he was here?" He would say something about spaghetti hats, and he goes, "Spaghetti hats, strainers,
spaghetti strainers, and hats.
That's a good idea."
And then he goes, "I'm gonna buy I'm put all my money into strainers. I think this is gonna work." And he buys a bunch of strainers.
Yeah,
a bunch of
definitely
spaghetti strainers,
shenanigans and stuff. But it's funny. And then kind of like closer to the end of the episode, Bojack comes in there, is worried, but like you said, Anna said, I took care of it. Don't worry. And she goes, "What do you want? You've been very like unsettled." And he goes, "I don't know. Like, is this also gonna make me feel better?" She goes, "No, it's not gonna make you happy for the rest of your life. It's just gonna."
But that night, right after the Oscars,
gonna be so good.
It's gonna be so good.
And I guess I want to talk about that for a second. Like, when you hear someone say that, that kind of is life. Like, I mean, like about that. When you take a job or an opportunity, or you win an award, or you do something like really achieving, don't downplay it, because it's really helpful. But in the end of the day after, it's kind of the past. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like Dorian, he says a lot. This too shall pass, or will pass.
That's Gandalf. I'm just kidding.
I'm
kidding.
But like the good feelings, the bad feelings.
Yeah, everything kind of just goes away. But like she's trying to. Well, one, her job is to give him the Oscar, and she wants to do that for her and for him. But for this guy who's really broken, who wants just eternal happiness and peace, and finally gets his happy ending. Yeah. It's hard for him. So when
it's cool for her to be real with him though, and be like, "This isn't gonna make it better, but it is gonna make it good for a second."
Yeah, and so for him, he's just like, okay, I want that.
Yeah.
And so they go into the premiere of Secretariat, and
he thought Secretariat was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he watched it. He was like, dang, that was really good.
But that wasn't me, but it was good.
That wasn't me, yeah.
But no, that was the first episode. I guess we're not really gonna do like rankings of stuff, but like as a start to the season, how'd you feel about it? Like good?
Yeah, I like it. Whenever I watched it, because I watched it when it came out after I'd watched the last season.
Yeah.
It was a very good refresher episode. It didn't feel too weighted down by the last episode or anything. It wasn't 26 minutes of them telling me what happened last episode and setting up for the next
That's
one.
what the recap is for.
Yeah, the recap's like a minute or two. I think it was really quick, and it felt right at home where it was.
I think it gives you not, I wouldn't say vague, but strong enough talks about this is what happened. Like this is the important stuff from the last season.
Yeah,
let's jump into the problems that happen now, and you see the repercussions. You see what's going to happen this season, and they just want to focus on this season on its own. This is what we're going for, and that's smart.
And I like the idea of knowing that BoJack is known for other things that aren't just horsing around. Yeah. And this season takes more of a like. Where Horsing Around was the show that they were talking about, they talk about the Bojack Horseman show a lot more here.
Yeah, they talk about...
Because the next episode, of course, being...
the Bojack Horseman show.
Yeah.
In 2007, Princess Carolyn finds a new project for Bojack. Diane meets Mr. Peanut Butter at the coffee shop where she works, and Todd kisses a girl.
Yes, I will say the setup for Mr. Peanut Butter and Diane, this is so cool because whenever it was Diane's birthday... He was like, what do you want for your coffee? And I think she said like an espresso, and he makes the wrong thing. And then in this episode, when he orders it from her, he orders the same thing. And it's like, just cut all this stuff that makes it espresso and just give me milk. like literally like the exact same thing that he did for her. Yeah. And it was really cool knowing that like he just permanently doesn't know what an espresso is.
Yeah, he just kind of does stuff. But yeah, this episode's cool. When I first watched it, I was confused because I was like, I mean, they clearly tell you in the episode, but when you first see like a couple scenes, you're like, this is...
Yeah, wait a minute, they slept together again? It was such a good reversal.
Yeah, but then they're like, welcome back to 2007. Oh my gosh, 2007?
Oh my god, that's the time it is right now.
So yeah, this is like the pinnacle. In 2007, just like as a little
2007 music.
This was, the initial stuff of this one is like in 2007, Bojack is, still kind of like being that actor people know from Horsing Around, hasn't done much else that's big. Princess Carolyn isn't an agent yet. She is an agent's assistant at the place she used to work for. I forget the guy's name, but it's like an older white guy who's like Bojack's agent.
He talks like this.
He talks like this. Yeah, he goes.
Get us some lingerie.
But I mean, Bojack, has hooked up with Princess Carolyn a couple of times because he knows them through the agency.
And they're both like, this is weird still.
Yeah. They're definitely kind of just doing it just kind of like just for pleasure themselves. But they both, I would say probably Princess Carolyn more than Bojack, feels something though in the relationship. But Bojack hasn't done much, and he's kind of in this lazy phase where he's like, I don't know what I want to do, and Princess Carolyn is like, I can probably get you something I don't know. But this is a cool episode where it just kind of like shows you what's been going on with the characters and stuff. Like we said, we meet a bunch of different people. Like the next scene is literally like a young Todd with his friend.
And I love seeing young Todd like with the long hair and stuff.
He looks no beard.
He looks so weird.
He looks so weird, and he just kind of like. They also dive into the character of Emily, who's like his friend. We get to see her later in the season, but it's just this girl who like really likes Todd, and just kind of awkward. Where he's like, "So who do you like?"
And she's liked him for like 7 years.
Yeah, and she definitely plays it off though. Is like, "Who do you like?" Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like anyone either. No, I didn't say that. Shut up. Like very playful.
Yeah, like, she's awkward. Very on edge talking to him. Which this is like high school Todd, right?
Yeah. This is.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, there she is.
A while ago, but yeah, no. So that's just cool to see Todd back then.
And it's cool to see that like the assistant in Todd's later thing where he gets the pin from her.
Yeah,
she was just there in that episode.
That little Easter egg. Yeah,
they have such a good world building for this. Like everyone has seen each other at one point or another, but you would never remember that you've seen them.
Yeah,
because that's what happens in real life. You pass by people you'll never meet again. You think, and then you'll meet them again and be like,
and it's like, oh, whoa, that's cool.
You were there the 26th. Yeah, that's crazy.
And then we go to the coffee shop and we meet Mr. Peanut Butter, who's with his second wife, Jessica Biel, who...
It's me, Jessica Biel. If you guys don't know about Jessica Biel, then do you guys even watch TV? Come on.
Yeah, she's a very... over.
She's like a B-rate
actress
actor.
who tries to like make her name like be like, oh, I'm that person.
I'm the Jessica Biel. Please, please, please.
Yeah, but we see Diane kind of this like snooty early, still her the same kind of person she is, where she's like very, I'd say like judgmental or like kind of like exuberant a bit, but like she goes by this name tag as Blarn as like a joke or something with her coffee, and Mr. Peanut Butter. At this point, they don't really like connect as much, but they are just like a little interaction where you're like, oh shoot, they're not together yet. This is
Yeah,
just
they're not
the
together
start.
yet. This is weird.
But Mr. Peanut Butter is still himself, just cracking little jokes and saying all this like fun stuff, and it's just like talking to his wife, and the wife is definitely like, yeah, I actually hang out with this guy, Kevin. He's like, wow, you should do this other stuff with Kevin that I can't do, and that will set up stuff later about like that. This doesn't look like a healthy relationship.
Oh, for sure.
But then we're in the new agency, and Princess Carolyn tries to bring scripts to her, her manager. Or
Yeah,
her
and he
agent.
doesn't like. He turns down what? No Country
And
for Old Men.
It's something. It has to have like 2 words. I think is it.
Yeah, he's like these titles are too long. It's like No Country for Old Men. I think Sunshine of a Spotless Eternal Mind or whatever. I think he also
And then there's another one that she does, but she shortens it.
The Life of Love of Mitch Mitchelson or something.
And she calls it like Mitch Mitchelson or something. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I like it. She cuts the title, and she says, you know who'd be good for this?
Bojack Horseman.
And he goes, ah, come on, Bojack Horseman ain't gonna do nothing. Like he's downplaying his
He
agent.
won't do it.
Exactly. He's like, dude, that guy's been washed up. He's not gonna do it. But obviously, because she has this fling with him, she's like, give it a chance. So she brings it to Bojack, and Bojack talks to her about it, but he turns it down. So what she does is
He's
she
like, nah.
drugs him and puts him in a car to meet with Cully Whiskers, who we talked about in the first episode, who is this big writer, director, producer.
I like his house.
And it's so cool because he's this hamster guy, and like Christian just said, his house is like drawn out to do like this actual like hamster
There's like tubes and
stuff. But he meets Cully Whisker, and he's talking about it, and he's really
and they talk about the weird, awful, gross sex stuff that they do between the spider and Mr. Cuddly Whiskers.
So Jill, like we said, Flipowitz was the assistant for Cully Whisker, and they had a very weird lover fling. Where they've been
See, we're lovers, and he's like, I got that.
Yeah.
It's so
And
funny.
So they really cool quarrel. But while he was talking with him, he really did like this enthusiasm of this guy and like the way he writes stuff and tells stories. Where he was like, I really like what he's.
It's like when you get preached to by somebody who's like really involved in something,
Yeah.
and it gets you lit and fired up about it.
Yeah, some like similar interests or like just the right notes or the right like words can really get you interested. And then he talks to Princess Carolyn about it. She's like, "You're gonna take the job?" No, he turns it down because he's still like kind of in that weird lazy phase. And then we get another cut back to Diane. She sent like a writing report to the New Yorker, and
They turned it down.
They turned
but
it
she was
down.
excited because they read it.
Yeah, because like this big, well acclaimed like writing article like place. I don't really know what the New Yorker is. Sorry, but it's like a newspaper, I think. Her friends try to like make her feel better, and are like, "Oh, it's snow," like, and they just list off a bunch of New Yorker like columns and stuff.
Yeah, and they're like, for people who hate the New Yorker, it seems like y'all read a lot of the New Yorker.
Yeah, but I think for Diane though that was cool because even though she got rejected, her work is actually making something, like it's getting recognized for being decent work. But like we said, Princess Carolyn is really trying to do what she can for Bojack, and she encourages him to take the job. So he gets back and he tells Cody Whisker he'll take it. The movie. We get another cut of Todd and Emily,
And they are in the 7-minute heaven closet.
But I think at the time Todd never kissed anybody. Like
he was completely. He was like, I've never been with a woman.
I also like how she says in this scene, she's like, my dad, you know what he does? He like writes for The Sopranos and stuff. What? So he like knows about all the mafia and stuff. So that was really funny.
I thought she said, my dad.
Yeah.
He's basically like The Sopranos.
Yeah, basically like The Sopranos, something like that. And he's like, what? But later
he'll get you.
But so they kiss and they have a cool little relationship and cute. That it's like I think it's like the best way to say it is like it sprinkles. It sprinkles for the later episodes in the season, so you get to meet these characters and think they're really cool, and then so it it goes along well. And then we cut back to Bojack after he's taken the job and he gets PC Princess Carolyn a
PC.
Like a crumbled up ball of paper, which like cats love to play
And
with.
she's like, oh my God, thank you.
And he just is really nice to her, which he's done before, where he's if he's in a good mood and he really thinks she's done something well, he'll give her a gift and think everything is so healthy and good with their relationship. But then when like it's got some high highs and low lows. So when she thinks of stuff, he'll take advantage of her. So then we go to the studio like the day of, and him and Cully Whiskers read out the script for the movie, and in basic studio fashion, they're like, okay, well, let's hear from the executives who are gonna like give us a bunch of notes and tear it apart. And they said, no, we actually really like your script. Let's keep it. And Bojack, what the trigger word for him was, I think they said, this is gonna be just like horsing around, which has terrible implications for him about his relationship with
and
I
think the executives were just saying that it's like horsing around because
it's gonna be popular.
It's gonna be popular, yeah. But they took it as like this is the same show. I'm just gonna be known as this guy again.
Yeah, so he got really scared about it. So him and Cully Whiskers are gonna make a plan, and then we do another thing with Mr. Peanut Butter showing his divide with the great Jessica Biel. You know Jessica Biel, Christian?
Oh yeah, I know about Jessica Biel.
Oh good, because
viewers, do you know about Jessica Biel? Because she's Jessica Biel.
Yeah, in case you forgot. So we see just another divide scene, and then so Cully Whiskers and Bojack are still talking about if they want to plan to tweak up the script, and PC says, guys, you're really worried, like shouldn't be worried about this. It's great, and then Bojack, when he does his thing, he takes advantage of his relationship with her and goes, you are just an agent. You are not looking out for me. You're just saying these things. Mm-hmm. Like, why aren't you on my side? And he really puts her down. And
and this starts a pattern of behavior where he does this anyways.
Oh, yeah. And it's kind of like, if you've ever been in an abusive relationship like that, it's just making you feel guilty or bad, or even just, like, saying negative things to you just because, like, stuff happens. Well, you shouldn't be treated like that. But that's how he makes her feel. And right after that, though, she does get a little bit of a boost in confidence and all that is because her manager agent she works for retires. And so she becomes the new agent of like the place where she works. And she's super excited. And she's just, she's like riding out and stuff. And while she just got hurt, she is doing these amazing things. And that same night, Bojack and Cully Whiskers rewrite like the entire script. They drink, they take drugs, they... have like a very like crazy just like talk with each other, like writing everything new. To like, what if he's a spy or something like this, like espionage or the show, like you said. I think when you said Dexter, that was
I think it turns into Dexter, right?
It becomes like a very
like a bad made version of that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good where it's like they just throw a whole bunch of crap into the pilot and they think it's like excellent because obviously they are very heavily influenced, and then. There's like two more things going on where Mr. Peanut Butter is at a fundraiser and so is Diane, and I'm just gonna like get all that out of the way with so like cutting back and forth. Mr. Peanut Butter's got this fundraiser and he's doing all this stuff. He's kind of like acting out, but like not like in a bad way, but his natural way. And the great Jessica Biel just feels like he's being ridiculous and wants to divorce him and stuff, and he's just kind of like in a low point. And Diane tries to cheer him up a bit, and he goes, I've seen you around like before. Like he just kind of like notices her, talks about the espresso, and they just connect. And they're like, "This is really like cool and stuff." Like we finally get to see how they started with their relationship, and this is like the first time I say like really notice each other because the scenes they were in, they weren't really like having a conversation or being eye to eye. They were just in the same room. So when they finally acknowledge each other, it seems like real.
Yeah, no, it clicks immediately, which is kind of hilarious.
Oh yeah. And then kind of like the end of Todd's story is him and Emily are back at her place and they're about to, I think, just like making out and stuff. And then she gets a knock on the door and she's like, "Oh, it's my dad. You got to go." And I think
she swaps hats with him.
She swaps hat with him where he gets his hat, his little yellow, like, thing he wears. I think what's the funny bit in this is that he holds on to the finale of The Sopranos, which if you know, The Sopranos finale is good, but it's a little weird. And then he like sees a part where it's very important and it cuts. Like he was using it as like a rope and it cut. And so that last piece is like gone. And he reads it, he goes, "This is great," or something like that. Or it's like very important. And he just like,
It's like this person falls in love with this person or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very like cool little nod to like what I think fans wanted out of the finale. But again, that's just like what Bojack does. They make very smart jokes that are like funny and self-aware of like the industry that they're in and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But then closer to the end of this thing, we see Bojack and Princess Carolyn kind of making up a bit where she just tries to explain to him like, I know that what I did to you was kind of messed up, but I want to give us another chance. And he's like, I like that. And so they get back together, kind of, that's where they kind of like continue to have their relationship where they just kind of like are agent and, talent, but also they have like their sleeping around relationship where that doesn't change for the next 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy.
And then they watch the show, think it's going to be a blast, and then they realize it's a mess, but it's too late, and the BoJack Horseman show becomes a mess.
Yeah. And it's very cool that they like kind of just have to sit there and watch it and deal with it. Yeah. It's kind of hilarious.
They can't do anything about it. It's just awful. And that's just kind of like a fun little episode. I think even though it's a cool episode explaining everyone's relationship, it's definitely both setup and also, I guess, a flashback that gives you a deeper meaning of these characters. Sometimes you can either show that in further progression of episodes or a flashback. And I think when it comes to understanding just the characters and stuff, this is fine. It's good. Are you trying to reach or something?
Haha, I got it. It's a straw.
Oh, okay.
I was thirsty.
I mean, I think this is a good episode. I think, in personal opinion, this is one of the weaker ones.
I think it kind of feels like filler.
It's filler,
but it's important filler.
It's character developing filler, and at that point, you kind of just have to accept that. Like
it's more like character affirming filler. Like they have already done this in the main show.
Yeah,
but like the idea that like. But Mr. Peanut Butter's always been like this. Bojack's kind of always been a nihilist. This is how this started. This is like the idea of knowing where things started after seeing where they've gone is kind of nice. But like it definitely is a filler episode.
Yeah.
Just to let us know the Bojack Horseman show was not good.
Yeah. I understand that. I think that's what we're on the same page about is just that it was something to show, the characters and where they are. And maybe someone in their head was thinking, oh, well, they couldn't have always been like this. No, they kind of have been for a while. But then we get back to the present in the third episode.
Bojack kills.
Oh.
Bojack is framed for the murder of a whale world dancer. Mr. Peanut Butter and Todd get into a stinky situation with the skunk next door.
If anything, this is also kind of filler, but like...
This one is definitely filler.
It's filler, but there's like... It kind of closes out the curly whiskers thing.
Yeah,
that they were setting up. He's
kind of retreated up into the mountains.
Yeah,
and I like the idea that something he says is really, really profound. Of like, like Diane's like, "Why did you leave? You hurt people." Da da da. And he's like, "I'm happy, and I'm not gonna say I'm sorry for being happy."
Yeah,
and that's kind of cool that have Bojack hear that and like know that it's like okay to be happy even if it hurts other people.
To take that selfish route a bit.
Yeah, take the selfish route and just end up happy and not worry about what's going to happen.
Because the world, I mean, I don't like to say it like that, but the world is kind of selfish, and you kind of have to be. Like, I'm not saying being selfless doesn't like help, but being every once in a while, if you have to take an opportunity and be selfish, I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah,
it's okay. But I feel like sometimes people don't take that opportunity, or they feel really bad once they do that because they feel like they have to worry about the well-being of somebody else. No, I mean, do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just a profound impact I think it had on Bojack. Also, the Bojack being framed for a murder at Whale World, it is Bojack branded heroin.
Yeah,
is what killed the dancer.
Yeah, it's heroin, like with just his like face on it, called Bojack. But at the beginning of the episode, we see this character called Goober, we see like cool little nod horsing around. He was this like little like
nobody liked Goober
character who was just like kind of funny, but he was like the jokester. I think he was trying to be like,
was it Goober or Gooby?
Goober.
So
I think he was kind of trying to be like the Urkel, not like the Urkel, but like an Urkel character where it's like just the jokester or something.
Go home, Goober.
Go home, Goober. But he later grows up and it's like one of those like really washed up guys who tries to play off their fame, and he owns Whale World, essentially just a strip club, but he doesn't like to call it a strip club.
No, it's a family-friendly experience where you can go and eat food. There are dancers there. They're entertainers.
You get to admire the wonderful science of dancing whales, killer whales, where it's really just...
And this is a take on SeaWorld.
Yeah. It's definitely a take on SeaWorld, but just in the more like Hollywood-esque
Yeah.
thing. But that's
Like the dancers are abused pretty bad and
Yeah.
stuff. Like it's basically SeaWorld.
Yeah,
it is Whale World.
It is Whale World. It's a meeting within a meeting, which is really cool and smart. But you open up with Bojack doing his like little, I would say, rubbing elbows, trying to sweeten up Oscar voters, because every single episode has a little bit of like a Oscar plan, to tell you that this is the drive of the season, is that he's like doing these things to get an Oscar because this is what he wants. Don't forget about that from the first couple episodes.
Yeah, he's working to get an Oscar.
But he gets a call from Jill, the spider lady, who says, "Have you checked up on Cully Whiskers yet?" And he goes, "No." Well, she goes, "Listen, you need to talk to him, and you also need to get like a letter from me." And he says, "Okay, fine, I will." So it's pushing the plot along.
It was love letters, right?
A love letter, because she goes, "Just so you know, get ready for this. We were lovers." And he goes, "That was not enough time."
That was not enough time. There will never be enough time for that.
But yeah, so that's just kind of something he has to go take care of. So he goes and leaves, and we see, I think, a very nice little, like very short but very like important scene of Diane, who's also working for Bojack at the time, gets a call from Mr. Peanut Butter. But Mr. Peanut Butter does like, he's talking to her and he's like, "Oh yeah, just so you want to know, I just was checking up on you, and whatever you're doing, that's okay. I just want to like to let you know we're supportive, because in the past couple seasons they've had a bit of relationship issues, and they're working to better their relationship."
And they do a lot of like, and I hear what you were saying, and it makes me feel like this.
It's very like they're working on it, but it's very forced.
It's weird because like, if you have a communication error and like you start going off of like very basic ways of doing it, it always sounds kind of childish of being like, I understand that, and this is how it makes me feel, and you have to emphasize that. But that's the only way you can work on it, and I would rather see them try to work on the relationship than just give up on it.
Yeah, because
communication between two people shouldn't be something that just ends a relationship,
Yeah. And then after he ends the call with Diane, Mr. Peanut Butter calls Princess Carolyn and goes, "So, yeah, I need your help real quick. What is the issue? I've been skunked." And, it's the big sitcom. I like that these episodes also kind of play out like a sitcom, where there's a funny shenanigan going on with a really heartfelt theme.
I'm going to go into my house and rub my body on everything. "Don't do that, Mr. Peanut Butter. Don't do it. Stay." And he's like, "I can't."
So him and Todd get skunked, and Miss Princess Carolyn, this is like disciple, has to help them before Diane gets home. And Diane and Bojack go to see Cully Whiskers. In between, though, Diane hasn't been really talking to Bojack much. We've seen that in previous episodes where it feels like she's avoiding him, which she does clearly say, "I am avoiding you. I'm trying to just work on a bunch of stuff and get my life in order, and I feel like hanging with you is a bad influence."
Yeah.
And he goes, and then right after he goes, "Oh, well, we got to go do this thing real quick," causing further influence.
Yeah.
And when they go to Cully Whisker's house, they see a dead killer whale in the pool.
Oh, no.
So the cops show up and introducing one of one of my favorite characters. I forget his name, though.
He's your favorite, but you forgot his name.
He's just fun to be around. It's this really fun, like, cat cop character.
It's not Cuddle Whiskers, is it?
No.
Kitten Whiskers. No, what's his name?
I don't know. I know that
Officer Meow Meow.
something like, is it?
I think so.
Something like that. But he's just a really like fun cat like cop character, and he basically just like interrogates Diane and Bojack and stuff about the murder. And obviously, there's a lot of hints being like, you've like your fingerprints or like everything clues lead to you, but they don't have any hard evidence. So they go, "All right, fine.
Yeah, his name is Meow Meow Fuzzball.
Meow Meow Fuzzball."
Oh, no, sorry. Meow Meow Fuzzface. And he is
Fuzzface.
Officer Meow Meow is what they call him.
Yeah, he's a really fun character. I just love the scenes he's in. He's just very like forceful, and it's like, "You are under arrest."
Yeah, you were under arrest. Wait a minute, but this isn't a pin. This isn't a big pin. And wait, he's not here till next week.
Yeah.
Chicken!
But obviously, there's big fingers pointing at Bojack being the killer, and to clear his name, they try to find Cully Whiskers to see if he knows anything. So they go to like parties and stuff and ask Jill.
Bart's Mitzvah.
Bart's Mitzvah, and they just try to figure stuff out. And while that's going on, again, they're trying to clean. Princess Carolyn is just trying to clean. Like again, the whole side plot is just fun stuff. It's getting stuff. I mean, the theme is they're working to do better so that Diane doesn't see him as like messing up. But it's just fun shenanigans, which we've seen from before. So it's stuff that like I don't think we have to really talk about every time it pops up because it's just.
Yeah, it's a lot of like innocent shenanigans, but in a real relationship, they like wouldn't fly. Is what's happening.
Yeah. It's like if she came home and saw he got skunked or messed up the house, it's big trouble. So it's stuff like that. But like according to like the main plot and stuff, they go to whale world because obviously it was a whale who died, and they ask Goober, who tries to kind of like be friendly like with Bojack, but obviously Bojack is not doing that, and they question stuff, and they get a private dance from a whale, a informational private dance, where she talks about she knows what happened, but she's like, "Does she know about Bojack?" And she's like, "What?" And she goes, "Fine. I can't say anything else. Go here," and talks about Cully Whiskers and stuff, and they go and ask more questions, and they go to the back room, and there's like literal like hidden like clubs that talk about Bojack, and that's where he finds out that Bojack is a drug sold by Goober, the guy in Whale World, who just used his name and face because it's very like important, you know, like it's something a part of his life.
Yeah.
So
and heroin, like not heroin, that's not what it is. It's like acid, isn't it, or something?
A mix of both, I think.
Whatever it is in real life, I think it's called something horse or something.
Horse tranquilizer.
Huh?
Horse tranquilizer?
No.
Oh.
It's like it's got like a code name that's like Bojack. It's not Bojack, I don't think specifically.
Oh, you mean like the real name?
Yeah, like the real life name of it. It's like a horse name, so they just did it in that. I can check that really quick.
Yeah, but Christian's looking it up. But basically, what he's saying is that it's this drug that people are like, it's very strong. People are psychedelic and people are tripping on, but because it's like it's a horse drug or like something like that for horses or whatever. But because Bojack's a big name, they just use Bojack to supply it. But then they talk about it, and Officer Meow Meow comes back and busts the case because he's actually a very good detective. And he solves it, and they capture Goober, but mystery solved, but they still don't know what happened to Cully Whiskers. So they remember that he has a vacation house, and they go to it, and he's just chilling. He's not known about the murders or anything. He's just living life out in the middle of nowhere, and he talks to him, and like you said, Christian, he says something very important. Where, what'd he say?
Oh, he says, like, I'm finally happy and I'm not going to apologize for being happy, even though it hurt people that he was close to.
He just ran away and did his own thing. And sometimes...
I couldn't find it.
Oh, well, horse drug bad.
Yeah, it's literally called, like, it's like some... I think they explain it in the episode.
They explain that, like, it's a drug... I think it's a drug for horses or something like that, or, like, mixed in with other stuff. And they just call it Bojack because Bojack's a horse.
Yeah.
But they find Cully Whiskers, and sometimes, which it hits me every time they, like, not every time, because some of those meanings in the stories aren't relative to me, but if they are, the fact that it's, like, choosing something over something else can be
therapeutic.
Hurtful or therapeutic or something, and it just works.
Yeah. And he's, like, happy, and he's out on his own, and he's not, like, I don't know. It's weird seeing somebody who was entangled with Bojack living a good life.
Somebody finally is doing that, or maybe it's because he got away from Bojack that it was such a good life. Because I mean, for a while, like you look at other characters, they're better off without him because he even says it.
Like when Todd separates, he's way better.
Yeah, I mean, even Bojack says it sometimes. He's like, "I'm a poison, and whenever I'm around, I hurt." And maybe that's even why Diane is trying to get away from him, in a sense.
Yeah.
But he's doing better, and it's just all for it. And Bojack does this thing where he feels bad.
Yeah.
He learns a lesson, or he gets a message that is personal, and he feels bad.
It's Cry for Bojack Day.
Yeah. So Bojack's in his mood and says
this next one is called Fish Out of Water, and this episode is going to be incredibly hard to describe.
Because initially it's like a silent film, which is super cool.
Yeah, it's a good episode. It's a lot of people like this episode a lot.
I love this episode. I love the music. I love the themes. I love the characters. I think it's so creative.
Yeah, Bojack goes to an underwater area to go talk about his
Pacific Ocean Film Festival, POF.
Yes, and he sees Kelsey there.
Who, if we don't remember who Kelsey was, she was the original. I think it was like screenwriter or something like that
for the
Secretary movie.
And then she gets fired because of him.
She was the original director.
Yes, she was the original director. But when it comes down to it, the entire episode, he's just trying to tell her like what's up and like what happened.
Yeah, we could probably go by this faster because the themes are more important than what actually happens.
Yeah.
But like we said, BoJack has to go to this film festival underwater. He hates the feeling of being underwater, which is also could be like symbolism for drowning under the pressure or under this weight. And then when he finds out that Kelsey is going to be there, he hates confrontation and does all these things but the thing is, he can't retreat to his normal stuff because he's underwater. He can't smoke. He can't drink.
They do get around that later in the episode, which I thought was really impressive.
Yeah, that's cool. But he
is not made for living underwater.
Oh yeah,
is what he's saying.
And he's
much.
on edge the whole time. But then he tries to run from her, but then he just tries like supplement stuff to make up for it, because he has to deal with it. And then he finally, for a little bit of the time, and it's like I said, it's hard to really describe because there's not much dialogue.
Yeah, this is an episode you got to go watch for sure.
If any of the episodes, you have to watch this one because we can't describe it very well because it is a silent film. There's only a couple bit of dialogue in the beginning and the end.
And there's fish dialogue throughout it, which is like.
Maybe we should say no. I was going to say the episode in the.
No.
But
and then no.
But yeah, but the whole thing is like small symbolism of BoJack trying to make up for stuff and doing good. Yeah. And I think a big thing of this episode, which was really cool, is that there's a seahorse guy who gives birth to his little babies because male seahorses are the ones that get pregnant, and there's a little baby gets left behind, and it's a little horse. I mean, it's a little water
it's a little
horse,
seahorse.
But it's kind of cool because I think it's really cool because he doesn't necessarily want it, but he is still a good guy and he takes care of it. And I like to think about the first season where he had a dream about having a little horse kid of his own and taking care of it. And I feel like that's
Harper.
Is that what the name of it?
Yep. Huh. The one with him and
Penny, not Penny.
No, not Penny for sure.
No.
Her mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Harper.
But
Harper.
But that's cool. Yeah. But he's doing everything to take care of this little one and get it back, and he's like feeding it, taking care of it, and he's like being a dad, doing like a very responsible role.
Yeah.
And maybe for me, I feel like that's his. I wouldn't say therapy, but that's just therapy for the episode. That's his.
Yeah, and he just kind of ends up getting lost and enjoying getting lost
and
which
taking
is
care
cool.
of this kid. I mean, the kid throws him through a heavy thing. It makes him do a lot of like dangerous stuff, but he really takes up this role where he like cares for the kid and just doing God knows like anything to get it back to the actual seahorse. And when he does, he's just kind of like, okay, cool, another kid. But BoJack feels accomplished slightly,
Yeah.
But now he's also lost his little companion, and now he's sad again. And he didn't ever get to do what he originally came to do, which was talk to Kelsey about apologizing. Because it wasn't necessarily his fault that BoJack went that way, but for someone like her, I mean, look at it in her POV. You're a director of this movie that's gritty and stuff, and the actor is relatively known for causing trouble and messing up stuff. But when he commits himself to working with you, and the studio just cuts you out, that's life. But obviously, I would hold a grudge. I would hold a grudge if I made a movie and then they cut me out, and then they made the movie anyways, and it's a big success.
Yeah, I would too. I will say though that the director that he ended up being with ends up being a pretty okay guy.
Yeah,
he's a little weird.
The catfish guy, he's just very like, he's very like okay, like compared to like the very serious or direct.
And he does save BoJack here. He gives him some nicotine pouches.
Yeah, it makes him finally feel
and a vodka suppository.
Yeah, to make him feel relieved from obviously being super panicked this entire episode and not able to, I guess, subsidize. I don't know if that's the right word to like his feelings to make him just feel better for the moment. But yeah, I mean, it kind of ends on a bit of a sour note where he never got to really say what he wanted to say or do.
And then he finds out that there's a translate button that he could have been talking to her.
And it's just like, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's the worst part of this.
Yeah, but the episode, I think it just that one hit me.
Yeah, that was an important episode for the whole series.
Yeah, but I think that one just hit me personally because it's like there's a lot of people that I wish I could like talk to and say, not really I'm sorry, but I wish I could have been like the way stuff went with us, or I haven't seen you in a long time, and I don't know how you feel about me or like think about me, you know, just the chance of missing out on it was kind of hard. So
yeah, no, I have the same feelings. I mean, there's always going to be regret in somebody's life to not be able to do something, but it's nice seeing in this episode that, like, ultimately there was a good side at the end, and he figured it out. He took the most, like, the worst way possible he could have handled it, but he still ended up okay at the end.
he also tried.
Yeah. And it's just crazy that the more he got into details about things, the more he got lost into it. And at the end, realizing that it was literally right there, he could have just not done any of that. Like, it's hindsight, the episode.
Yeah. And the next episode is just super fun. It's love and front slash or marriage. I like. Is that cool? They did front slash.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, while Todd and Bojack, while Todd and Bojack crash a rehearsal dinner, Diane gets a high with a client. Princess Carolyn goes on a series of blind dates.
This is where we find the coolest mouse character in the entire show.
Oh yeah, this also. I know it's like kind of filler. I mean, this whole series, this season is. I would say you have to give it a bit of a pass because it's the events that kind of make sense, but it's just fun. But Bojack and Todd are gonna go out and just hang out a bit and go to one of the premieres of award shows, and they run into Todd's not girlfriend, but like friend Emily again, which we saw in the flashback episode, and she's doing well and stuff, and she just says, "Hey guys, I'm actually going to a friend's rehearsal wedding rehearsal or rehearsal dinner," and Bojack goes, "I love to crash weddings." She goes, and she likes to make it known it's a rehearsal dinner.
It's a rehearsal dinner, not a wedding.
But he's like, everyone loves when a celebrity crashes a wedding or something like that,
and they give you free booze,
and something just to kind of like take his mind off it and party. So that's kind of what they do, and it's just a fun little thing. And then Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter are in therapy, and they're talking about their relationship. Again, like we said, they're building on
using the I am statements and the like therefore.
Yeah. Like I feel, or I am this and that. I think he talks about in the first scene about like skiing, bobsledding or something, and it's just kind of like funny because it's like a really nonsensical like topic, but you know, they're just still working on their relationship, which is cool. And they talk about later on, like communication, like what could probably make them feel better. And then for opening scene with Princess Carolyn is actually nothing work related. It's just her assistant has set up blind dates for her because she's free this week and she should try to take stuff down. So she's got 3 blind dates in one night.
I think it was actually, didn't it? Because she like sarcastically said to him like,
"Why don't you give me 3 dates?" Because I think it was like
and a day off for it, and he was like, "Okay."
And then she also like I think she jokes about like lawyers and a light bulb, and he goes, "Oh, that was a joke." But
yeah, he's like, "All right, then I'm not gonna have the lawyers come in this day."
Yeah. But you got her the dates and stuff.
Jonah takes things very literally.
Oh yeah, he's a very fun character. He's a cool little addition that I've really loved. Seeing him.
He's like me and Brady's favorite character.
He's just so literal, which is fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we meet up with, like we said, Todd and Emily and stuff, and they meet up and they just go to this wedding. And when they go there, I thought it was gonna go wrong. I thought they were gonna immediately go there and be like, "This is he shows up and no one really cares." But he shows up and it's everything he said was true. They just like go nuts for a celebrity.
Yeah,
at a
they
wedding.
go nuts for him, and it's like, I don't know what he expected because he says what he expected.
Yeah.
And I think he was expecting to be let down, but really people loved him.
Yeah, and he like fish on him.
Poor Diane this episode.
Yeah, I mean,
she gets invited to the party. Who is it that she gets invited to?
I don't remember who the guy is, but it's a cool little Easter egg. It's played. The voice of the main guy is played by her actual husband, Dave Franco, James Franco. Because Alison Brie is the voice of Diane, and so they've been married. I just know that for reasons. So. But
you sicko.
But
you freak.
But they're just a bunch of guys who are just like kind of like cool party like celebrity. I would say like they're influencer guys.
And they're just like chilling.
And they just like are talking to her and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, this is Diane." They go, "Oh, Diane, yeah, the guy's talking about. Come here and talk." And she tries to she's very nerdy and stuff. We know this. She's a different like person, and so she's like kind of not peer pressure, but she's just kind of like acting differently to hang out with these people.
Yeah, and she like that goes against everything she says, but also you got to remember Diane is a hypocrite.
Oh yeah,
she's just a hypocrite
to the biggest order. But you know, Princess Carolyn goes on a couple of dates. I would say what's funny about the stuff is that she goes on the first 2 dates and they're really boring or not her type, and then she meets I don't know the mouse character's name. I'm sorry, you know it.
Philip.
Philip,
right? I think.
She fact checked.
I know that Hubert is what she wants to name her kid.
Fact check it real quick.
No. Is his name Hubert and it's Philip? I mean, I think
we'll do a little fact check. I'll just entertain the audience while you.
I think Philip is the kid's name that they want to have, and I think his name is Hubert, but I can't remember.
While we're waiting on the research to come back, tell us how you feel in the comments about BoJack Horseman season 3. Please leave comments.
I got it so wrong. It's Ralph.
That's way off.
Yeah, I know it's way off.
Oh yeah, you know that horse guy? His name is Bojack. Wow.
His name is Schmomac.
Schmojack. Whoa. Bojack Horseman.
Whoa, that's probably true.
Probably, but so Ralph. She meets Ralph, and Ralph is just really. I think he's so funny because he says a lot of stuff, and she like takes it seriously and goes, "No, I'm kidding."
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
It's so clever and funny, which they know how to write likable characters, even if they are like supposed to be bad, like not like bad characters, but like vile or jerks. Mm-hmm. They write them so funny and so likable that I just enjoy it. But we cut back to the wedding rehearsal.
And Bojack speaks because they're like, celebrity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. And he's like, well, when you know. And it's so, it's, and it's so good. And then she gets up and she's like, Bojack, I don't know if I know. And she runs away.
And everyone's like, you got to talk to her.
Yeah, you got to talk to her.
We go back to the party. And
Diane takes drugs.
Yeah, and they're like, so when's it going to hit? Oh, it doesn't hit until later. But she talks to them, and they say, imagine if he was like this other Diane or something, and she goes,
right here that she's like,
imagine if I was
hot Diane texted you,
and you thought it was actually hot Diane, but it's actually the lame Diane, and she goes, oh, that's actually what happened, and she feels really bad.
And he's like, I just didn't want to not say you could be here.
Yeah, make you feel bad,
and then the drugs kick in,
and it's like super psychedelic, but like glowy, kind of coolest, and even though it wasn't the right Diane, he kind of is like, we can still make the best of this. And then she goes, no, I need to go do this with my husband.
I need to go talk to my husband.
So she leaves him, and Bojack, is back at the wedding, and he talks to the girl, and he gives a very, very good speech.
Well, it's a very nihilistic speech as well.
Yeah, it's very like...
He says, what is it? He's like...
if you don't take, you'll be alone, or something like... At least you have somebody.
The older you get, the more alone and the more hard you get.
Mm-hmm.
And I laughed. No, he's like, whenever you're alone, you just get older and harder, and everything gets worse. But if you find somebody who likes you at least a little bit enough to tolerate you, then you should latch on. And like, it's just like not a good worldview, but it's a good speech for her when she took it, because she was having these weird like things, and he was like, really. Wedding and love and all this stuff doesn't matter. It's just if you tolerate a person enough to live with them, latch on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad speech, but good in the moment, I guess. And, and he saves the wedding. He saves them, and they actually go through with it, and they get together for the night, and so they're not like he saves a relationship with probably very bad advice, but that's kind of Bojack what he does. And then we see Todd and Emily get together, but they also talk about something very important that is going to be a thing with other episodes, where they talk about a rideshare app, but just for women. So they don't get like hit on or sexually abused or whatever. And so that'll lead into another thing. It's just important to mention. But they're just happy to see each other again, and she still likes Todd. And so Todd's like, but Todd's very nervous too, because she wants to like go all the way with Todd. And she's been having these feelings for a long time, but Todd's very nervous. He's a very...
He also doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hilarious.
Because he always tries to, like, push it away or, like, do something else.
Yes.
And stuff.
And then Diane talks to
Mr. Peanut Butter.
She shows up and she's like, Shh, listen, drugs are talking right now, and I have to let them speak.
And she says a bunch of stuff about like her relationship and how she feels, and
She's like, I love you, and I love this relationship, and I know I don't say it enough, and I know that it sucks that drugs are what are making me say this right now. But I love you, Mr. Peanut Butter. And he's like, I love you too.
And then she wants to carry him off to bed, but then he breaks her arm.
Yes.
Because he's so heavy.
She tries to carry him. Come on, I'm going to carry you up the stairs. And he's like, okay. And then she breaks her arm. She's like, I think I just broke my arm.
Yeah. And then Princess Carolyn actually gets the number of Ralph. She thinks she didn't do enough, or maybe it didn't go well, but it's, she had a good night with him, and it was cool. And I'm glad that, spoiler, we could see him again, because they actually become a couple.
Yeah, I love the cat and the mouse dynamic that they have.
Because it's an actual cat and mouse.
Dude, and I love that I like that his family is so anti-cat.
That's really funny, yeah. And then the very ender of the closer of the episode is they go to check on her arm, but then the doctor goes, "Don't you know, Diane, you're pregnant."
Yes, and now they have to figure out what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and leads to the next episode. Brop brop pew pew. Diane's tweet lands Sextina Aquafina in hot water.
Sextina Aquafina.
Prankster and A-list actor George Clooney, George Clooney, gets under Bojack's skin. So the episode actually picks up immediately at the end of the other one, where they talk about the pregnancy. And obviously, we just had a very cool scene in the last episode where they're like, we really love each other, and I feel like relationship's getting better. And then at the very beginning, they're
like, what are we going to do with this baby?
Oh, say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3, get an abortion. Don't get an abortion. Oh, no, we said different things.
Yeah, oh, no, we said different things.
So it's obviously a big divide from the relationship, but, that's how relationships go. Sometimes you're not going to always agree, and you can have ups and downs, but it's just cool to see that. Or it's not cool. It's interesting to see that the relationship...
It's really cool seeing them just get torn apart.
I think it's a good, interesting dynamic where it's like you think they're about to solve everything, but it's not. And then we're at an award show, not the Oscars, but a different one. And George Clooney wins for his film. I think it's like something about like Nazis or something like that.
Even Nazis can be friends too, or something. It was like something really dumb.
Very Oscar baity. But George Clooney actually says to Bojack, like... You're the fifth man. I don't know if anyone told you this, but...
These things are popularity contests, and you are not it.
Yeah, and that really hits him, but it makes... Instead of taking it, like, offensively or something, he takes it as one big joke, because George Clooney is also a big prankster, and he thinks, how do I get back at him? I prank him.
You're going to prank George Clooney.
So that's his motivation for the episode. But then Diane... just
accidentally tweets... I'm getting an abortion.
For Sextina Aquafina.
Sextina Aquafina's account.
And that blows up, and, she gets really mad. She's like, I'm just partying here on a boat, and I got to turn that boat into a car to fire somebody. And she's like...
and then I found out that I'm having an abortion.
And she's like, but then, she's like, well, actually, you're getting a lot of positive receptions. And Sextina being this very influential...
vain
character, she just goes, so what you're saying is... I'm getting an abortion. She's like, well, you're not actually.
But I'm getting an abortion, she says. And they use it as like this whole social media thing for her.
Yeah.
And I hate the abortion clinic. They're like, all right, you have to watch 5 hours of puppies, sweet puppies. And
I'll watch it for you. And she goes, and she has to watch
and Mr.
it.
Peanut Butter's like, I'll watch it for you.
And they go, no.
No, it has to be her.
He goes, I'm so sorry for you.
That's so awful.
That's so funny, though. But yeah, so later on, Bojack tries to pull some pranks. But honestly, Bojack's kind of sidelined. This one's actually more of a Diane episode, which I think is cool that we get to see those like every once in a while. And it's just about Sextina Aquafina kind of taking a little too far, because she makes a song about like
killing babies, bop bop pew pew,
brop brop, like the like actual name of the song,
killing babies,
and it's like kill that fetus,
yeah, kill that fetus, stop that fetus.
In her mind, it's like an artistic way of like empowerment, but like other people can see it as like very...
and it ends up working, right? That people are like, oh my, she's so brave.
That's her outlet for how she's feeling. It's like...
oh my God.
I always feel like if I saw that, like an actual artist made that, I'd be very mad.
Dude, Sextina's like hilarious. She's a great
character. She's such a fun character just to do stuff with. But But then Bojack goes and tries to pull a prank on George Clooners, but then he pretends to be the driver. Anna Spanakopita is actually in the car talking to George Clooners about the awards. She's kind of going behind his back.
Yeah, and the reason that she has never had somebody lose an Oscar with her, like every year she's gotten her client to get an Oscar, is because she represents like almost all of the people who are in the Oscars.
Yeah, she's everybody. So she, it's like a tainted record. But she confronts him about it, and she's like, this is what she said. She's like, Bojack, that's my thing. I represent everybody. You just need to accept that. And he doesn't like that. And I think he fires her. He's like, the pranks, jokes on you and stuff like that. So he leaves.
Yeah, he's like, da 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 da, and you're fired.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, is it in this episode where she's like, no one's ever talked to me?
It is.
Like
it's
that
at the
before.
end. So I guess like for Bojack.
Oh, that's right. And it ends on that weird scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll let's get to the rest of it, but we will say about it. It is yucky.
Weird scene.
But before that, like I guess closing off other people's stories, Diane is kind of furious about this because she's like, it's not even because she's also. I mean, Diane's
she's not even having the abortion, and also she's singing a song about pew pew kill babies.
Yeah, and also she's gonna have a live taping of her abortion.
Yeah, and they're gonna edit it and make it look like it was real.
Yeah, and so Diane's got to do that and also go through an actual abortion, which she still has to deal with dividing sides from Mr. Peanut Butter, who wants to be supportive of her and really does because he loves her, but he's also conflicting. But then she talks to this girl who was scared about an abortion.
Teenage girl
who's scared about getting an abortion.
And she's like, Sextine Aquafina makes me feel like I can do this.
Yeah,
like
so she kind of just like sucks it up. She's like, fine, I might, because she, like we said, she's a big hypocrite where she thinks one way but judges other people another way, and so her big thing is she just kind of needs to chill out. But she gets the abortion. She comes home. She talks to Princess Carolyn about it. Who, even though they're like co-workers or once her boss, they do have a good dynamic.
Oh yeah, between
each other, and she's like there for her, actually comforting her. And so Diane realizes like, I might not always be in the right because this thing happened last season with I forgot his name, the elephant guy. Hippopotamus. It was like,
Hank Hippopotamus.
Hank Hippopotamus.
I was talking about the elephant dude who made the
no.
the strangulation machine.
No. Hank Hippopotamus. Like, the thing where it's like she might not always win or be in the right, but
it's good to know she's got somebody in her court.
Yeah, and that also just understanding it. But then it's a cool little ender where Sextina Aquafina goes, yeah, so I'm actually pregnant.
And I think I want to keep it. Oh, and we didn't talk about this, but Anna goes to Bojack's house
and says, like, no one's ever talked to me like that. I'm going to drop everyone else, and you're my only client. And then she
starts jerking him off.
Yeah, she sees it as like a power move.
It's so funny. It's right below the screen, and it feels so scary. His eyes widen. He's like, oh.
Yeah, it's a big thing where she's like feels intimidated that someone's.
You would not believe
done her dirty.
How long we've been recording?
How long?
An hour and 7 minutes.
You know what? Let's make this a two-parter.
Oh shit! Did we make it a two-parter?
I think we make it a two-parter. We're about to start episode 7. The audience will get an hour. Sorry if that's a weird thing to end off of, where it's an agent is doing the deed with a horse guy, but I feel like we want to keep it relatively. We want to keep everything relatively under an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, I feel like we've got too many episodes to continue
to talk to about. So we're gonna make this a two-parter. We will probably record the episode, but you won't hear it until the week after.
Or it may come out earlier if we have something else that comes up.
Yeah. We're just saying that you'll look forward to this being a two-parter, and this might happen again depending on how important the episodes are. But
yeah, these are they get a lot more dense as things go on.
Oh yeah, like
26 minutes becomes like an hour feeling.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys. That's weird. I don't know why. That's cool though.
Yeah, first
two-parter on the podcast. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. We'll try to keep it less rambly, maybe.
Next time we'll just immediately start off with it.
My energy's just been low. I haven't kicked back up yet with everything, but I hope that the second part we'll jump back into it and tackle it and be cool with it. But hopefully you guys enjoy that we're just back.
Yeah,
pulling
we're
out
back.
episodes, trying to keep it consistency.
We're back, and we immediately hit you with a 2-parter. Sorry about it.
Yeah, well, we're catching up from last time, but yeah, guys.
We'll talk about season 3, episodes 7 to 12.
7 through 12. Yep. So keep us posted. We'll be definitely posting updates on the Instagram, even the community stuff on YouTube. I use that for this.
Go check it out. We, of course, are now on Spotify fully, which is awesome. You guys can find us on anywhere that platforms, or not any platform yet.
Just Spotify for audio
Spotify,
and YouTube.
And then isn't Anchor its own thing? Or
Anchor
no,
is Spotify. It got bought out.
Oh, that's
Spotify
right.
and YouTube. Spotify,
YouTube, and we're going to be trying to work on getting it put out on more things for you guys to listen to on any podcast platform.
Nice. But yeah, that's been part 1. I'm Cooper.
I'm Christian.
And this is The Real
Deal
Podcast.
And we're out.
Out.